There's not an idea that's a bad idea. It's just figuring out how to execute that idea in the safest and the best way possible for the client.
Who do you think your best customer?
I like the ones that allow me to participate in the design.
Creative freedom.
Absolutely. You don't go to the doctor and you tell them how to treat you.
Walk me through the process. How would you approach this project from start to finish?
Communication is the key to success. On-time delivery is important to me. We're honest with our dealings and we take pride in the work that we deliver. My job is to maintain code. My job is to maintain safety of the project. That's the number one priority.
As a general contractor, how do you define a beautiful space?
4 elements that contribute into the beauty of a space. First one, I'll say lighting is important. The second element, I would have to say...
John Kheir, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Naja. Thank you for having me. This is such a wonderful opportunity to be here at this wonderful venue you chose. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so we're here in the Edwards Mansion in Redlands, California. And this venue is a perfect example of how thoughtful design and historical charm, as well as stunning landscaping, can create a beautiful space. And you, as a general contractor, I'm curious to know, how do you define a beautiful space?
Wow, that's a great question, actually. We are in a beautiful venue. It's such a wonderful building. The craftsmanship on this building is gorgeous. I think there's 4 elements that contribute into the beauty of a space. The first one, I'll say lighting is important. A lot of people treat lighting as just to illuminate the space, but in reality, works in different ways where it sets up the mood and the ambiance of the actual room by utilizing the proper lighting in the proper way. I think the second element, I would have to say texture, as in things as in wood and metal and stone. Unfortunately, we don't do that anymore. Most of the construction these days are made out of plaster and drywall, and it's the same material across the entire house, which takes away from the beauty of the place by not adding these different textures. The third thing, I would say design. Sometimes by adding a small window in your room or a French door or putting up a wall in a certain direction or another can completely transform the space and make it feel a little bit different. The last one, which is something I cannot control, which I think is my absolute favorite, is time. Time is what gives the space its beauty. Let's think about this space. For example, the patina on the materials, it just comes with time. You know, when we build new construction, everything is sharp edges and corners. When a place like this that existed for years, you can see how the corners soften down with people's hands touching things. You can see the colors changing of the material, and that only happens with time. And so I think those are the 4 things that would contribute to the beauty of a place. So,
And it makes it so magical, right? Like
absolutely,
it becomes
absolutely
transforms. That's why probably historical sites are protected by the government and all of that. So I'm curious about you, John. You have an incredible, you told me a little bit of about your background, and not all the time you've been in construction. So I'm curious to know, what was your journey like leading to this point? And what made you choose a construction company as a business?
Great question. Actually, after the military, I went into the finance industry, and I stayed in the finance industry for the same institution for about 13 years. My last position, I was an operation manager, running call centers and helping with sales and, retention of keeping employees and teaching them on onboarding. But in 2015, I realized that I wanted to take a different path. It was just time for me to get off behind the computer and actually do something for myself. I had the opportunity to flip a couple properties with my brother in 2015, where we used several different contractors, which opened up my eyes to a different perspective, different way of doing business. And I realized that I can do a little bit better than most contractors are hired. So I decided to get my contracting license, and we've been doing some amazing projects since. So
That's wonderful. See, when you approach a project, especially when it comes to interior design or even exterior design, there is always a balance between aesthetics, like how it looks, and the functionality of the space. So when you approach a project, how do you balance between these two?
I agree with you. One of my greatest inspiration is a very famous architect named Frank Lloyd Wright. I love his work. He inspired me in a lot of ways of how he does his design. It connects the outside with the inside. And I think by utilizing raw material and utilizing different material for the same function might allow you to have the aesthetics and the functionality of that item at the same time. So just playing with the materials and the different textures that we could use, and that might be able to help with the functionality and aesthetics of the place.
That's wonderful. And who do you think your best customer?
Hmm. I like the ones that allow me to participate in the design.
Creative freedom.
Absolutely, because it gives me an opportunity to be able to give them more than what they're bargaining for. To give you an example, I always give that example to my customers. You don't go to the doctor and you tell him how to treat you. That defeats the purpose of going to the doctor in the first place. Let him tell you what's the best thing for you. Same principle. The customers that allow me to add into or input into the projects kind of makes the project more fun and allows me to go above and beyond for them, because I'm always looking to be innovative in the way I do business and to look for different solutions.
I kind of sneak peeked into your website and I saw the variety of the different projects that you guys do. And I'm sure there's a lot of more projects that you don't really have time to take pictures of and put them online. So, what kind of projects do you guys take?
Right now, we're focusing on residential. We've been very blessed that we've been getting a lot of residential here in the city of Redlands. I also own a couple businesses myself and was fortunate enough to work into the commercial realm, as in some of retail spaces that we built and customized for our clients. Um, the scope of work for us is pretty much everything except new build. Right now, we're not taking on any new build at this moment.
Got it. And what is the process like? So let's say I am one of your potential clients,
Okay.
which I might be, as you know, and I have like a project, say a garage transformation. Walk me through the process. How would you approach this project from start to finish?
The initial consultation is one of the most important steps. I think communication is the key to success, and setting up the expectation early on is important. And also for me to completely understand your vision and your final image. It's what you see it in your head. And sometimes it's hard just to see what you're looking to get done. Um, I think that'll be the first step. After the agreement on our proposal and we move forward, usually um, you get daily, if not once or twice, updates on what time the guys are arriving, who's going to be at your space, what we're going to be accomplished for that throughout the process. And on-time delivery is important to me. If I promise you that we're going to be done in 3 weeks, I take pride in that, because I understand we're invading your space, and we're cautious of that. We clean every day after we're done. We don't leave any trash at your home, because it's your home and it's not a job site. And we're going to make sure that you be able to utilize it as the best that we can for the projects that we're working with. And finally is the walkthrough. I take pride in that one because I like to be present for it. I like to see the final product and see what we accomplished and transformed. And hopefully we met your needs, and if anything need to be addressed, that's how we address it as then. So
That's awesome. What about design and renderings? Do you provide that kind of service where the customer could see what the place gonna be looking like in the future?
absolutely. We have our own in-house drafter, a wonderful gentleman that helps me to draw up the plans of how the space would look like, how we imagined it, and that we can, you know, work with the client on the rendition of what they like to see as a final product. And they have input all the way to the finish. It's their projects, their home. I'm not going to be choosing everything for them. I will be making recommendations, but I want them to be their choice ultimately, because that's their space.
We're both members of BNI, and everybody when I joined BNI was talking about your artistic taste. Like you're someone who creates art, and you have a distinct taste in art. How does that influence? First of all, talk to me about that because I'm
Mhm.
curious to know, like, how did you get this artistic taste, and how do you use it when you're dealing with a project?
Well, I grew up in a home where my father was a woodworker, and he really enjoyed carving and building different things. And I enjoyed it as well, working with saws and different equipment at a young age. There's a lot of people in my life that opened up my eyes to different things. I do believe beauty is in the eyes of beholder. So being able to see things in a different perspective, allowing you to be innovative in our design and to aesthetically be more pleasing to the eye by changing color or putting shadows or changing lighting. And I believe my love of art and design helps me to maximize the potential of what I can offer to my client by solutions and different ideas.
Yeah, you can see the vision. You can see because
Absolutely.
and then you can imagine how things work. I think that's what creative minds are. They have a ability to imagine things. I used to work in the advertising industry for a long time, most of my career actually. And in advertising, we have this idea of brainstorming, and no idea is a bad idea. All ideas are good. We never shut down ideas. But now I'm curious about when you're dealing with a stubborn client. Okay, let's face it, we all have opinions about things. And when you kind of feel that the client has a terrible idea and you know it, how do you handle that?
Well, there's not an idea that's a bad idea. It's just figuring out how to execute that idea in the safest and the best way possible for the client. My job is to maintain code. My job is to maintain safety of the project. That's number one priority. If it does not break any of those things when it comes to safety or code, we would do our best to accommodate the client. But I believe setting up the right expectation and communicating fully of what would it take to actually accomplish that thing is might be a bit easier to get the customer on board, because a lot of times it's just misunderstanding. It's them not really seeing the picture fully of what's involved and what needs to be done. And I'd simply just, brought that up to the clients, and it was much easier from there then. So I think communication and setting up the right expectation is the key to avoid these situations.
Let's talk a little bit about you as a businessman.
Okay.
You obviously have many successful businesses besides the HK construction. So I'm curious to know, like, what is the secret for for this rapid growth? I know you shared with me some numbers off record, but how do you do it?
Well, first of all, my faith is what guides me in life, and I'm grateful for that. I was raised Christian, and I believe in the values of the Bible, and those have helped me and protected me through this journey. I got to tell you that. But I call them that triple H, three H's. I teach them to my team. It's something I live by myself, and that's I think it was contributing to our success. The first H is being honest with ourselves as a company, being when we mess up or we make mistakes, or where we absolutely are unable to do so on certain projects. I think that's the key to success, of being honest with our clients as well throughout the process. The second H, I would say, being humble. Uh, Humility is hard, and something I struggled with, but being able to ask for help, knowing that, I need help in certain projects or I'm unable to do so. A lot of times I've seen projects that I stepped in to help with is the contractor been there for 2 months. And in my eyes, if he just didn't ask for enough help, because it shouldn't take that long to be able to get it accomplished. And it's either pride or just didn't budget it correctly to be able to ask for help. So I think being humble to say that I need help or we messed up and that's corrected is the key, another key. And the last one is hungry. You got to be hungry. If there's nothing to motivate you every single day, it's hard for you to get up in the morning and do what you need to do. It's not an easy job. It's a very demanding job. And especially as busy as we are in several different homes on every single day. And I enjoy it. I enjoy it. And my family and my kids is my reason for my getting up every day. And that's my hunger. So the three H's: being honest, humble, and hungry.
I love it. I
So
love this. I might actually steal that from you.
you're welcome to. Welcome.
So, few things about what you just said. Number one is that I'm reading a book called Arte, I believe. It's like some
Yep.
Greek philosophy kind of book, and they're saying that the idea is the meaning of life um, is to, like, you're capable of this and you're currently like this, and the purpose of life is to narrow the gap between what you're capable of. And I feel like what you're saying, the hunger, is all about that. Like, you wake up every day and you don't find enough time of the day because of what do you want to do and accomplish, and that's really admirable, and pretty much that's probably a trait for successful entrepreneurs. So I think I salute you for that.
Thank you.
The other part what you touch upon is the number of people I met in my few years here in the US who complain about contractors. Like, you guys have a terrible reputation, and I wonder, how can you change that as an industry? And how do you approach that?
One customer at a time.
Mhm.
It's I think the the root of the issue, it's lack of transparency between contractors and the customers, and lack of communication. A lot of times when I stepped in to help again with projects that someone else started, it was not bad craftsmanship, it's just bad communication on what's needed and not setting the expectation correctly with the client. I think, and part of it also, pride. I'm relatively young in this industry, and young in age, and I noticed that a lot of the contractors locally here are used to certain ways of certain doing things, and not being innovative and being creative is what the customers and society around us are asking us for more, and they're not able to accommodate that.
Awesome. So tell me about HK Construction. How long have you been in business? What are your proudest moment? And what are your 2025 future plans?
We've been in business for about 8 years. I started as a licensed electrician, and then we've got my licensed general contractor. My goal is to expand into commercial. Like I said, I own a couple businesses myself, and I was able to help to a couple retail businesses. I'm focusing aggressively. The commercial realm is new to me, and I enjoyed working on those spaces, those commercial buildings, and being creative. That was a wonderful process for me. So I'm aiming to do more of that. Our residential also, we're expanding our services, so we'll be able to accommodate more of our clients, especially in the city of Redlands. I'll tell you something unique that I'm very proud of. We now have a stained glass guy that we can take on jobs with to be able to fix some and repair some of those beautiful historical homes that we have here in Redlands. I recently worked on a home where I added stained glass just to bring back the charm of that home back to it by adding these beautiful things.
Yeah, and what's interesting about you guys, your work, is that not only I can see, for example, interior woodwork that beautify the space inside, but you also handle concrete in the outside. You also handle, like, one of your projects, you added a deck to a house. So what are the different types of projects that you can take on? Like, let's say someone already living in a house, what are some ideas you can give them to, maybe get you involved?
So, I'll give you an example. We had, let's say, Mr. Customer just recently that called us, and we worked with them. Due to some circumstances, they had a family member move into their home, and they needed someone to give them some advice to really reconfigure the space to make it work for their loved ones and for their family without the intrusion on each other's space or privacy. And we were able, by simply opening up a door and closing up a couple walls and adding a window, to transform the space where to fit both of their needs without intrusion on each other's privacy, and made it comfortable. So I took pride in that design and that project because I improved on someone's life and someone's home and made them more comfortable in it. And that's what, if someone that's not comfortable in their home, there's always creative solutions, reasonably priced creative solutions. A lot of people are scared to call a general contractors, but in reality, by calling a licensed general contractor, you're avoiding pitfalls of really doing the job more than once.
Yeah, exactly. There's a famous saying that poor people pay twice. And the idea here is that if you think too much about the nitty gritty of the price, you ended up paying twice because you go in the cheap route, and then usually cheap comes with low quality. But having said that, how do you price your projects? Like, how is there, again, not to scare people, but let's say someone has a new baby born and they want to add like a little room or maybe double bed or something of that nature. What do they expect to pay?
It really depends on the projects and what I'm working with as a space in the first place. But our prices are extremely competitive to the market, if not lower than anybody else here locally. You're getting the quality which you expect from a city of Redlands at a really lower prices than you would have paid in LA or anywhere else in those areas. Um, I We are extremely creative where we're able to utilize and different materials, still stay within the budget, and still make the project look much more expensive than what initially we intended to. I believe small finishes can make a huge difference in a place, and I usually have that in mind when I bid my jobs to calculate it into it. So we can have a few surprises for you before the end of the project.
That's super cool. And also, given the prices of houses here in California, so any addition could potentially increase the value of the house.
Absolutely. As mentioned earlier, we're a licensed contractor, so we do everything with permits. By expanding your space, you're obviously adding more to your square footage of your home, which is going to add to you in the future when you're trying to sell your property, or you know, keeping on to your to it as well.
And they get free quote, right? So you can go to the space,
Absolutely.
probably brainstorm with the owners. You don't charge for the first visit.
No, absolutely not. We don't charge for our estimates. If somebody asks you for a fee on your estimate, that's usually unethical or illegal. The only times that we did charge for estimates is when we had to travel really far to get out there to the location to be able to give someone an estimate. So there was some charges for transportation.
Cool. So what's your final advice for homeowners out there listening to this?
I take pride in my home. I think my home, it should be the most beautiful and comfortable space, especially if we have to go out there and deal with whatever we deal every day. My home is my sanctuary. So if anybody listening to this broadcast, we understand that. We want to beautify your space. We want to make it as comfortable as possible by utilizing every single corner of it to your best potential. Most importantly, we're honest with our dealings and we take pride in the work that we deliver, and we deliver it on time.
John Kheir, thank you so much for your time.
Pleasure. Thank you for having me.